I just went home to Michigan for 4th of July and I did not bring my camera, and I was just hoping we wouldn't get any Halloween news in the time I was gone. And literally, the second I stepped off the plane and turned on my phone, I got the notification from John Carpenter. Talk about timing on that one. So I'm sure you guys have heard by now, but unfortunately Halloween Kills has been delayed, and in turn Halloween Ends has also been pushed back 1 year. It was initially announced on John Carpenter's Twitter with a nice long letter from David Gordon Green, and just because they felt so bad about delaying the movie, they also gave us a little bit of a teaser. I don't really want to call it a teaser because it looks to me like the first 30 seconds of Halloween Kills. So it's kind of getting some good with the bad, but yeah, the sucky news here is that we're going to have to wait a year for Halloween Kills and then another year for Halloween Ends. I honestly don't know how to feel about this news entirely because my gut reaction is I'm a little bit excited that all of my predictions and reading the data and all of this hard work I've been doing for the past few months to really just be realistic about this stuff came true. Nothing was really going right, and it felt like if maybe everyone wore a mask and they figured out a vaccine, or they just figured out a way to make it so we could have theaters be open with full capacity, there was just this slim chance we'd get to see Halloween Kills, and obviously that's not true. If you want to know why they decided to delay the movie instead of releasing it in some other way this year, all you have to do is just read the letter on John Carpenter's Twitter. He wrote it alongside David Gordon Green, and it basically spells out that if they released it this year, it wouldn't have been in the way that they want people to see this movie. Even if theaters were open, they would have been at half capacity. We don't know if Universal movies can even show in AMC theaters or Regal theaters at this point, and with October just being a few months away now, it really just didn't make sense for them to commit to releasing this massive movie. And yeah, like a lot of people say, it is only a $20 million movie, but because Halloween 2018 made $250 million, that's what Universal's ballpark range of what they want to get back on Halloween Kills is. So to them, their options were put it in half capacity theaters and just hope for the best, which is not a great option if you ask me. The other option people were talking about was releasing it on Amazon Prime and other VOD services for $20. But the biggest issue there is that the profit potential is just not the same as releasing it in theaters. And on top of that, once you release it on Amazon Prime, all someone has to do is record their screen for 2 hours, and then it's on every torrent site out there, which makes it very easy to pirate this movie. So from Universal's perspective, I hate siding with big corporations, but that's just why this seemed like the best option for them, because if they wait a year and everything is cured and they can put people back into theaters at full capacity, that's a win for them. And then you also have to consider that Halloween Ends hasn't filmed yet. And yes, a lot of production companies are going back into filming starting in August, which is around the time that I would expect Halloween Ends to film, because that's when Halloween Kills filmed. But they would have to follow all of these different rules. They'd have limited capacity on set. It would really just screw with probably everything they'd want to do with the movie. I guarantee you there'd be shots left on the cutting room floor. There'd be stuff in the script they just wouldn't be able to film because you just can't have a lot of people in a very close proximity to each other right now. And when you've got to fill bars or you got to fill city streets with actors, it's not feasible to really do that stuff. So the best option for both Halloween Kills and Ends was just plainly to delay it. So if you're feeling upset about it, I get that because I'm upset too, but you really just have to think about the fact that in the end, you're gonna get the best cut of both movies. Another consolation Universal is offering up here is that Halloween Kills is actually going to be shown in IMAX theaters, which is awesome. Now, I don't think any of it was filmed to actually take advantage of the full frame IMAX screen, or they would have announced it by now since the original plan was to release it this year. But John Carpenter talked about the reasoning for this being that they wanted to really just take this extra time they have and make this the best possible Halloween movie it can be. And the result of that is they hired an incredible sound team to mix it for IMAX theaters. You know, it is nice having full frame images like I just mentioned, but sound is another big factor in IMAX, and Halloween, in my opinion, is a movie that could really benefit from that, not only on the soundtrack design, because obviously having John Carpenter's soundtrack in IMAX is going to be sweet, but also just overall the shape moving around. They can really play around with the surround and just the cool extra additives that you get from having IMAX movies. And even though the movie's pushed back a year, so the full marketing cycle isn't going to start just yet, IndieWire released an interview with John Carpenter where he revealed some pretty cool stuff that's not just confirmations of things we already knew. The first thing he said is the movie is something else. It's fun, intense, and brutal. A slasher movie times 100, big time. It's huge. I've never seen anything like this. The kill count. That was specifically very cool to hear because ever since this movie was announced, the one thing everyone's been talking about is how massive the kill count is going to be. And I always get nervous about talking about this because the last time I did, someone called me a psychopath, but I want a huge kill count in a Halloween movie. We got quite a few kills in Halloween 2018, and a lot of them were really inventive. Like some of my favorites in the entire series, and even the worst ones, like Sartain getting his head stomped, the practical effects on display were amazing. So if they can beef that up and really just make it a slasher movie times 100, that's what I want to see. That's why we're in the theater, to see Michael Myers running through Haddonfield, absolutely destroying people. I mean, yeah, it does sound a little crazy listening to myself say it, but like, whatever, man. It's a fucking Halloween movie. What do you expect? He then went on to say the first one was more about Laurie's life of isolation after Michael and her attempts at revenge. It was personal. This one is more about unraveling of a community into chaos. It's about how fear spreads virally. And that was also really cool to hear because that's what I've been saying I want this movie to be from the very start. We've known for a long time that the working title of it was Mob Rules. We knew that they were filming in bars. We've gotten that shot of Tommy Doyle, Lindsay Wallace, Nurse Marion, all looking at something in a bar. So it seemed like from everything we had seen so far that it was going to be the whole town of Haddonfield going out on the streets to hunt Michael down. And obviously there's a third movie, which means Michael survives this one. So if he's got a whole town coming after him and he's coming out on top, it's going to be absolutely insane. Like I'm just so excited for the first time in months. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we did get some new footage from Halloween Kills. And even though it's not a full-on teaser or trailer, it looks to me like it's the very opening first shots of the movie. The teaser opens up perfectly with a rotting pumpkin, which is a great contrast to the one that comes to life at the beginning of Halloween 2018. And of course, this pumpkin does look like one from Halloween 2, which is a great Easter egg. It's just a small nod to the movie that was replaced by Halloween 2018. And since Halloween Kills is literally doing what Halloween 2 did, which is picking up right as the first movie ends, I think that's just a cool thing to do. I don't think it's like that noteworthy or anything. I just like the way the pumpkin looks. And if I see a jack-o'-lantern, I gotta talk about it. From there, it cuts to a bunch of leaves rustling in the wind, and it's just perfect Halloween energy. And we have awesome sound design in the background once again that's extremely creepy. I wish I could just show it to you guys, but Universal will copyright claim the out of me, so I can't. I'm sorry, just go watch it yourself. You'll get it. After that, we cut to Laurie's house, which is still on fire from when she blew it up on top of Michael, and this time around it looks like the house is actually burning down. Some of the shots in Halloween 2018 look like they applied CGI fire to like the roof and stuff like that. I didn't love that so much, so it's nice to see this big massive house just on fire with that creepy ass score in the background. And then we cut to Laurie, Allyson, and Karen in the back of the truck, seemingly on the way to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital. They look kind of relaxed, and then they realize that fire trucks are going the opposite way. And Laurie just absolutely losing it, screaming at them to let him burn is awesome. Obviously, any human being would be dead by the time they get there, like straight up. That house is completely engulfed in flames, but we know that Michael does have a little bit of supernatural strength in this universe. He had his hand shot off. He was shot multiple times through all over his body. There's this one screenshot I'm putting here now that is showing him just erupting in blood after being shot in the back by Laurie. He had a lot of stuff happen to him. Like he got hit by a car going at least 30 miles an hour and he got up and kept moving. So that's the only explanation for how Michael could still be alive underneath all that flame while he's stuck in the basement. And we know that he's going to escape somehow with a firefighter's tool. I think it's called a Halligan, and obviously he's going to get it when the firefighters come in to stop the burning and make sure no one else is inside. And that's about as cool of a setup as you can have. I can't really think of any other way for Michael to escape. They They put themselves in a catch-22 a little bit because Halloween 2018 was originally intended to be a one-off movie that kind of ended Laurie's story, but obviously it's becoming a full trilogy. So I'm okay with them fudging the details just a little bit to get Michael out of that house. And then of course, right after that, we do see Michael's new look, which is a burned mask. It's not as burned as the one that my friend Charles Briner made, which you should definitely check out that video. I posted it last Halloween, but it's just a slight burn, which means he's probably getting out of that house pretty quick. Now, that kind of goes in contrast to the novel, which said that he could feel it melting into his face, and that's kind of what I was hoping for, like a still recognizable mask, definitely not completely bald because that would look weird, but just some detail that shows like he's finally merged with the mask, because that would be kind of like the ultimate evolution of that character. Because Michael Myers, when he was in Smith's Grove, he just sat there just waiting and waiting, and then when he was presented with the mask, that awakened something in him. So having the mask kind of fused with his skin would have been awesome, but I like how he looks. I like that he's still Michael Myers and not something completely different like in Jason X. They jumped the shark in that movie, and I'm glad they're not doing that here in Halloween Kills. And then at the end of the teaser, we get the new release date of October 15th, 2021. Now, there were a few people like my friend Wolfman's Got Nards who were saying they thought it'd be a great idea to release Halloween Kills in July and then Halloween Ends in October. I think that would be awesome. I would actually really like that, but I'll always take 2 Halloween movies in a row, released a year apart, both in October. That just almost seems too good to be true. And then we'd also have to deal with what I talked about earlier, where shooting Halloween Ends uncompromised to release next October just doesn't seem like something that can feasibly be done. So at the end of the day, I'm fine with both movies being pushed back. And the weird thing is, Candyman is supposed to come out at the end of September, I think September 25th, and they bumped that up to Halloween Kills' original release date. Now, I don't know what they're expecting to make in that movie, but judging by Twitter, the hype for Nia DaCosta's Candyman is absolutely insane, and in my opinion, that's probably one that's going to get delayed too, because that's not something Universal's going to want to release in a half-capacity theater. But they're just filling placeholders they already have and moving things around as time goes on, and I really can't fault them for that. I know a lot of people out there are going to be upset no matter what that it's not releasing on VOD, and while I just don't think that was ever an option, I definitely see where you're coming from, because one of the things people kept saying is that if they release it on VOD and this year's Halloween, the stuff we normally do, like go to parties and trick or treat and just have a nice fall night outdoors, we're not going to be able to do that. So being able to watch Halloween on our TV would be a great consolation to that. But we can watch Halloween 2018, we can watch Halloween 4, we can watch Halloween 1 and 2 this year, and then next year we can all show up at the theater totally excited to see a brand new Halloween movie. There is a lot of stuff to be disappointed about. I'm not trying to just gloss over that, but there's also a lot of stuff to be excited about here, and I'm just glad we're getting at least 2 more years of Halloween, man. Like that's really exciting to me. So hopefully, as time goes on, we start getting more announcements of new toys from NECA, specifically new masks from Trick or Treat Studios, because the fact of the matter is they showed us a teaser that let us know what the mask is going to look like. And if I'm Universal and I want to keep sustained hype all the way until next October for a movie we've known about for over 2 years now, I'm going to let people start releasing these toys and these masks and other posters and maybe even a special edition of Halloween 2018 with a director's commentary. There are a lot of things that they can release to keep us all excited while we wait, because that wait, it's really gonna suck. But that's all the new news I have for you guys on Halloween. It's a mix of disappointing and exciting, I know, which is kind of just everything that 2020 has been summed up into one sentence. Thanks so much for watching all these Halloween videos. It is really cool to have a channel like this where I can just talk about my favorite movie franchise ad nauseum, and people just like watching me do that. It really is not lost on me how lucky I am to have that. And last week's video specifically, the one with all the returning characters in Halloween Kills, I worked really hard on that before I went on vacation, and just seeing that one do as well as it is really exciting. So again, thank you guys for sticking around. If you're new here, definitely hit subscribe and turn the notification bell to all. So every time I upload a video, you get a notification on your phone and in your email, because I love horror movies. I talk about them all the time here, and ask anyone who watches my channel. It's a fun community where we have great conversations on the videos and in the comments. Anyway, guys, my name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Shape on.